Chosen one, this isn't a moment of arrival. It's a moment of takeover. You're not walking in just to be seen. You're walking in to shift everything. Your presence isn't decorative. It's disruptive. Your essence carries a frequency that shakes systems, rattles routines, and awakens rooms that have been asleep to greatness. You weren't called to blend in. You were chosen to break through, and the time has come. This is the season where you will realize you weren't being overlooked. You were being prepared. Every delay was alignment. Every setback was refinement. Every rejection was a redirection into dominance. Not to prove you're powerful, but to show you were always chosen to lead, build, and stand where others fall. You're not just the underdog anymore. You're the uprising. To every soul watching this video, take a moment and breathe this in. Your wishes are not too big. Your desires are not unrealistic. The energy you feel pulling you forward is divine. Watch this message until the very end, and if it touches your spirit, write your warmest wishes and 144 in the comments. Let the vibration of your words charge the atmosphere and send out a ripple of faith into the universe. Because your wishes are not whispers, they're summons. Now, chosen one, show your light by liking this video and subscribe to the channel, and let's step into this together. The game is different when you're built by fire. When you've walked through seasons where you had to be your own cheerleader, your own protector, your own provider, and still didn't quit. That doesn't just build strength, it builds a spiritual roar. You move differently when you've survived what others didn't see. You speak with weight because every word is forged in experience. And now you're walking into spaces not to beg for a seat, but to own the table. You were never meant to ask for permission. You were meant to carry the authority. And here's what dominance looks like for the chosen one. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's not force, it's flow. It's not showing off. It's showing up fully. It's becoming so unapologetically you that anything not in divine resonance with your spirit either aligns or exits. You're going to notice it soon, people suddenly treating you differently, not because you changed, but because your frequency did. The room feels your intention now. The atmosphere bends to your clarity. You're no longer just present, you're powerful. And it started the moment you stopped doubting yourself. The moment you said, "Enough. I'm not playing small anymore." That switch, that moment, was a spiritual signal. Heaven took notice. And now everything that was once blocking you is being cleared. The path ahead is not without challenge, but it is ordered. And you, chosen one, are not walking in timid. You are walking in crowned, co-signed by the divine, lit from within. Because domination is not about having more, it's about becoming more. More consistent, more disciplined, more grounded, more powerful in spirit. This isn't just about success, this is about spiritual impact. About creating waves of change just by existing in your truth. About being so rooted in who you are that you shift the conversation just by entering the space. That's dominance. Not loud, not arrogant. Just undeniable. You've been trained in the dark for this level of light. You've been humbled by the weight of your own calling. You've been broken open so your spirit could pour freely. And now that you've come into alignment, there is no one left to compete with. You are the blueprint. You are the vibration. You are the voice that the world didn't know it needed until now. So don't downplay your strength. Don't dilute your magic. Don't shrink your vision to fit what's comfortable. You were never meant to be manageable. You were meant to be miraculous. You were meant to be a force that causes the old systems to shake and the new ones to be born. You were meant to lead, not follow, to build, not wait, to dominate, not just participate. And the world? It's not just watching, it's adjusting. Everywhere you go now, energy will shift. Eyes will turn, doors will respond. People will sense it before you speak, that you carry something different, not louder, but deeper, not flashier, but realer, a spiritual weight, a divine imprint, a frequency so clear that false energy cannot coexist. And that's why your silence will feel like thunder. Your stillness will feel like motion. Your presence will feel like prophecy. This is your new atmosphere. The old one cannot follow you here. You've outgrown it spiritually. The people, the habits, the doubts, they served their purpose. They sharpened you. They shaped you. But now they can't reach you. And they're not supposed to. Because now you're in your takeover timeline. And this version of you, the real you, doesn't just enter quietly. This version radiates, commands, leads, dominates. You're not coming to be accepted. You're coming to be remembered. The reason your life has been so intense isn't because you were meant to just get by. It's because you were always meant to break through. You weren't chosen to survive the storm. You were chosen to command it, to walk through it with fire in your eyes and divine clarity in your steps. And that's why the enemy hit you so hard. It's why life tried to beat you down before you could rise. Because domination doesn't start when you arrive. It begins the moment you realize who you truly are. You were being prepared in silence so you could move in power. Every room you've been denied was too small for your spirit. Every door that closed wasn't built for your kind of calling. Every delay was divine positioning. And now, you're not just walking through open doors, you are becoming the door. You are the access point, the shift, the new standard. And whether they like it or not, the world is going to feel your impact. You're not entering to play nice. You're entering to fulfill prophecy, not theirs. Yours, the one etched into your soul before anyone had a say. And now, that prophecy is activating. And it's loud. It's unstoppable. It's dominant. Chosen one, this is no longer the time to seek understanding from people who were never designed to carry your vision. You've been trying to fit a limitless frequency into a limited framework. And that's why you've felt frustrated, misunderstood, overlooked. But that season is over. Now, people are going to recognize you. Not because you forced them to, but because they can't avoid it anymore. You've shifted spiritually. You've upgraded energetically. You've outgrown the noise. And this new version of you doesn't explain anymore. It embodies. It doesn't compete. It creates. It doesn't seek. It attracts. You are no longer in the field of trying. You are in the field of being. Being bold. Being present. Being aligned, being dominant, without apology. Because, let's be real, they expected you to stay quiet, to settle, to question yourself. They never expected you to become this clear, this powerful, this rooted in your calling. And now they're watching from a distance, wondering how you've become so unshakable, so consistent, so magnetic. The answer? You stopped chasing and started channeling. You started creating from spirit, not ego. You stopped seeking validation and started walking with vision. And that's what makes you dangerous in the best way. Because you're not trying to dominate from fear. You're dominating from alignment, from clarity, from divine instruction. You see, domination for the chosen one isn't about crushing others. It's about elevating your essence so boldly that everything not in resonance fades. You become so in tune with God's plan for your life that you can't be ignored. That's the kind of influence that doesn't come from strategy. It comes from spirit. And that's why everything is about to accelerate. You're going to notice favor increasing, opportunities appearing, conversations shifting, people reaching out, doors opening, and it's not luck. It's alignment. You've reached the energetic frequency where things begin to find you. You're not chasing purpose, you're anchored in it. And because of that, you'll dominate spaces that once intimidated you. You'll lead where you once felt lost. You'll speak where you once stayed silent. You'll be seen, not just by others, but by yourself. Because for the first time in a long time, you see it. You see who you are. You feel what you carry. You know what you're called to do. And that inner knowing, that's your crown. That's the frequency that shifts rooms. That makes systems feel outdated. That causes people to second-guess their own identity when they're around you. Not because you try to outshine them, but because you've mastered your own light. This is what dominance looks like when it's sacred. It's not loud, but it's unmistakable. It's not aggressive, but it's firm. It's not forced, but it's felt. You don't have to yell to be powerful anymore. Your silence holds weight. Your presence speaks volumes. Because when God sets you apart, the room feels it before you even speak. And this is why it had to take time. Why you had to be broken. Why you had to be hidden. Because anything built too fast burns too quickly. But what's been forged in divine fire, it lasts. So yes, chosen one, you're going to dominate. But it won't look how the world expects. You'll dominate in peace. You'll dominate in love. You'll dominate in truth. And you'll do it all without losing who you are. Because domination isn't about force. It's about being so fully you that everything else rearranges. There's something different about you now, and you feel it. Not just emotionally, not just mentally, but energetically. You walk differently. You think differently. You don't chase the same things. And more importantly, you don't chase people. That's because you've stepped into the energy of dominion. You've stopped moving through life like you're still auditioning for your worth. And that shift is everything. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being exactly who you were called to be, without hesitation, without dilution, without fear. That's the root of spiritual dominance. It's when you enter a room and don't need to explain your presence, because the atmosphere adjusts to the frequency you carry. It's when you speak and people lean in, not because of volume, but because of vibration. It's when your silence holds more truth than their loudest opinions. You've entered a space where your spirit has become louder than your voice, where your decisions are bolder than your explanations, and where your alignment is more effective than any strategy. That's what scares them. They can't figure you out anymore. The version of you that used to over-explain, over-apologize, and overextend is gone. And what's replaced it? Focus, fire, faith. Not the kind of faith that waits for permission, but the kind that moves in certainty. Because now you understand that God didn't just choose you to survive your story. He chose you to dominate from it, to use your pain as power, your setbacks as setup, your scars as sacred proof of what was meant to destroy you but didn't. You see, domination for the chosen one doesn't come from ego, it comes from awareness. You are no longer acting like you don't know who you are. You know now. You feel it now. The way people react around you confirms it. The way you no longer tolerate low energy affirms it. The way you protect your peace proves it. You're not too much. You're finally in full volume. And when you live at full volume, you don't need to make announcements. Your aura does that for you. People feel your clarity before they hear your words. They sense your discernment before you share your wisdom. That's the power of divine alignment. It speaks without effort. So, what happens now? You become the atmosphere, the thermostat, not the thermometer. You set the tone wherever you go. This is where the shift from showing up to dominating begins. Because the truth is, most people show up trying to prove something. But not you. You've already proven it. To yourself. And now, everything you do flows from that inner confirmation. You're not seeking a platform. You are the platform. You're not trying to build influence. You're embodying influence. People are drawn to you now, not for what you do, but for who you are. Because you've become magnetic in your authenticity, unshakable in your identity, and untouchable in your spirit. And here's the part no one sees coming. You don't even need the spotlight anymore. Because now, you are the light. You illuminate rooms just by being in them. You ignite change just by being honest. You inspire movement just by walking in purpose. That's not something you can buy. That's not something you can fake. That's the result of being forged in fire and refined by alignment. So yes, show up. But when you do, let it be in your fullness. Let it be in your truth. Let it be in your domination energy. And don't apologize when the room gets uncomfortable. Don't shrink when your confidence reveals their insecurity. Don't second-guess yourself because others didn't do the work you did to get here. You didn't come this far to doubt yourself now. You didn't walk through that pain, that isolation, that transformation, just to arrive quietly. You came to own it, to sit in it, to bless others from it, and to shift the environment through it. Because the chosen one doesn't dominate by trying to overpower. They dominate by walking in truth so boldly that illusion can't stand it. You are truth in motion, proof in motion, power in motion. And from this point forward, your path will reflect that. Not because it's perfect, but because it's authentic, because it's ordered, because it's protected. There's nothing else for you to earn. Now is the time to embody what you've already been chosen to do. You've been underestimated for so long that people forgot the weight you carry. But you didn't, not anymore, because something in you woke up. Not the part that seeks attention, but the part that knows it's time. The part that isn't hungry for validation, but for impact. And when that part of you awakens, you stop waiting for alignment. You start becoming it. That's what they don't realize. You're not showing up to impress. You're showing up to lead. You're not interested in applause. You're interested in authority. That's why you've been shedding so many layers, losing friendships, letting go of habits, outgrowing conversations. It's all a divine filter, because when you're called to dominate, you can't be carrying dead weight. You've stepped into a version of yourself that only resonates with truth. And now, you're starting to see that truth in motion. you're starting to feel that inner push, not to run, but to rise. This isn't about pace. It's about posture. It's about knowing that your presence is your strategy, that your authenticity is your protection, that your consistency is your power. You don't need to force your way in. You were already written in. This level of alignment feels unfamiliar because you're no longer striving. You're flowing. You're not trying to get noticed. You're letting your frequency speak. You're not begging for the door. You are the door, the access, the catalyst. That's what happens when a chosen one accepts their identity. Not the watered-down version, the real one. The unfiltered, fully activated, spiritually refined version. The one that doesn't fear power, but honors it. The one that doesn't question timing, but moves with it. And that's what you're doing now, moving with it. You're walking in sync with something higher. You're hearing things you used to ignore. You're feeling things before they're even spoken. You're sensing the shift before it happens. Why? Because when you're chosen, you're also wired differently. You were never built to follow trends. You were designed to set them. You were never meant to seek permission. You were meant to walk in confirmation. You were never supposed to blend in. Your spirit was always too loud for that. And now the volume's up. This is why distractions are falling away. Why peace feels non-negotiable. Why you can't tolerate anything that drains you. Because you're in a chapter of spiritual dominance, and dominance requires clean energy. It requires intention. It requires boundaries. It requires solitude. It requires courage. Courage to stand alone when your frequency outgrows the crowd. Courage to speak up when silence would be safer. Courage to lead when no one wants to go first. Courage to embody the calling, even when it's misunderstood. Because real dominance isn't loud, it's clear. It doesn't beg, it decides. And you're deciding now to take full ownership of your power. You're not waiting on a sign, you are the sign. You're not waiting on the world to tell you it's time, you already know it is. This is the shift, the internal calibration, the energetic alignment. It's why you've been sensing urgency without chaos, movement without noise, power without pressure. Because what's rising within you now isn't born of force. It's born of knowing. You know who you are. You know what you carry. You know what you've survived. You know what you're stepping into. And when you move with that level of clarity, domination is natural. It's not something you chase, it's something you radiate. So don't hold back. Don't filter your words to make others comfortable. Don't shrink your spirit to make space for people who wouldn't do the same for you. Don't second-guess the direction just because no one else sees it yet. They're not supposed to. They weren't given your vision. They weren't handed your blueprint. They weren't chosen to carry this frequency. You were. That's why it hits different. That's why it feels heavier. That's why the stakes feel higher. Because the weight of your calling has mass, and that mass demands momentum. You can't play small in a season where you've been built to lead large. This is no longer about proving your worth. It's about expressing your assignment. You're the kind of soul that was born to do more than just participate. You're here to innovate, to establish, to set a tone that others can rise to, even if they don't understand it yet. You weren't sent to the room to adapt, you were sent to elevate it. And that chosen one is the beginning of true spiritual dominance. There comes a moment in the journey where you stop trying to prove you belong and start remembering that you were always meant to lead. That moment is now. You're not arriving timid, uncertain, or halfway convinced. You're arriving whole, expanded, anchored, not with arrogance, but with awareness, not to please anyone, but to become everything God planted inside you. You've carried the weight of being misunderstood, misread, and misjudged. And still, you rose. You didn't let their opinions define your movement. You didn't let rejection stop your growth. You didn't let the silence of others mute your purpose. And that kind of resilience, it's not taught. It's encoded in the soul of the chosen. And because of that truth, you're no longer trying to get in rooms. Rooms are being built around your energy. Opportunities are being shaped by your presence. People are being drawn to the clarity you carry. You're not knocking on doors. They're opening from the inside because your name was already on them in the spirit. That's what happens when dominance isn't something you reach for. It's something you step into, and you've stepped into it now. Not by forcing, not by begging, but by becoming. You're starting to understand the difference between chasing something outside of you and activating something within you. The world teaches people to chase. Chase success. Chase recognition. Chase money. But you've learned the sacred truth. What's meant for you moves toward you when you move in alignment. And alignment looks like this. You speak less, but your presence says more. You strive less, but your outcomes increase. You stress less, but your peace expands. You hustle less, but your favor multiplies. That's not luck. That's spiritual authority in motion. That's the frequency of a chosen one walking in their full identity. And when you operate at that level, the world can't help but respond. Environments shift when you walk in, not because you're demanding attention, but because your vibration is undeniable. Your aura speaks before your mouth opens, and not everyone will understand that. That's okay. You weren't chosen to be understood. You were chosen to lead. Dominance isn't always about being the loudest. Sometimes it's about being the clearest, the most aligned, the most consistent, the most rooted. People may not say it out loud, but they feel you. They feel the fire in your silence, the confidence in your stillness, the depth in your decisions. You've become a mirror, reflecting truth back to those who have spent years running from theirs. And some of them will distance themselves, not because you hurt them, but because you expose what they're not yet ready to face. That's not your burden to carry. It's your confirmation to keep moving. You didn't come to be liked. You came to shift timelines. You came to establish things, to uproot what was fake, to embody what's real. And that makes you a rare presence, one that will confuse many and confirm others. But either way, you will be felt. You will be noticed. You will be honored, if not immediately by people, then consistently by God. And that's why things are accelerating. That's why the vision is coming clearer. That's why you feel bolder, more convicted, more aligned. Because when you enter the space of dominance, the energy around you has no choice but to respond or retreat. You are not being pushed forward by ego. You are being pulled forward by destiny. You are not performing. You are present. You are not chasing the moment. You are owning it. And here's the deeper truth. You're not even doing this just for you. You are showing others what alignment looks like, what power without ego feels like, what faith in motion creates, what divine dominance truly is. You're setting a tone. You're building a path. You're planting a new spiritual standard. So don't flinch when people react to your rise. Don't hesitate when doors swing open faster than expected. Don't apologize when your name is mentioned in rooms you haven't even entered yet. You didn't manipulate your way into this. You aligned with it. And because of that, nothing can take it away from you. You don't need to compete when you carry what can't be copied. You don't need to explain what was spiritually assigned to you. You don't need to shrink so others feel comfortable. You were called to dominate, not to disappear. And from here on out, let everything you touch carry your energy. Let every space you enter be marked by your vibration. Let every word you speak move with divine intent. This isn't about doing more. It's about being more of who you already are. You're not waiting to be invited anymore. You're not sitting in silence, wondering when it will be your turn. You're no longer whispering your greatness in rooms that require you to dim your light. That version of you is done, buried, transformed. The new version, the true version, has arrived. And this version doesn't just show up. This version takes space. You no longer shrink out of politeness. You no longer hold back to keep others comfortable. You no longer pretend you don't know what you carry. Because now, you know, and knowing changes everything. You're starting to realize that the way people treat you isn't always about you. It's about what your energy brings up in them. Your presence disrupts their comfort zones. Your clarity confronts their confusion. Your discipline exposes their distractions. And instead of internalizing their discomfort, you're now owning your impact. Because when you've been through enough fire, you don't fear the heat anymore. You become it. And it's showing. Your boundaries have changed. Your focus has sharpened. Your time has become sacred. Your energy is expensive. And the more you honor your own value, the more you start to see who truly respects it, who was only attached to your silence, who only loved the version of you that didn't know its worth, who thrived when you were uncertain and uncomfortable because it made them feel safe. But now you're too clear to be manipulated, too whole to be controlled, too called to be caged. You don't fit in the boxes they built around their comfort. You don't follow the rules of their broken systems. You don't beg for what's already been ordained for you. That's what makes you dangerous, not reckless, righteous, not prideful, positioned. You've been set apart, not just to exist differently, but to lead differently. And it shows in your presence. You're not the loudest in the room, but you're the most felt. You're not everywhere, but your absence speaks volumes. You don't respond to everything, but your silence makes a statement. You don't need everyone's approval because you've been anointed with assignment. And that assignment comes with weight, with responsibility, with vision. You've been given a lens that sees beyond the surface, a heart that discerns the unseen, a spirit that hears before the world speaks. That's why you can't afford to move casually anymore. That's why you don't entertain chaos like you used to. That's why your circle has gotten smaller but deeper. Because where you're going, distraction is a luxury you can no longer afford. You're not being groomed for visibility. You're being forged for impact. You weren't chosen for clout. You were chosen for change. And change doesn't ask for permission. It moves. So now, you move. You move without needing the applause. You move without waiting for confirmation. You move without dragging old versions of yourself into new seasons. Because domination requires precision. You've been given too much clarity to keep living in cycles. You've experienced too much transformation to keep pretending you're still in survival mode. You've walked with God long enough to stop questioning your access. You're not showing up to blend in. You're showing up to reveal the shift in frequency, the shift in intention, the shift in divine order. And that shift? It starts with you, your posture, your discipline, your obedience, your fire. You don't need to push to be heard. You vibrate too loudly to be ignored. So from this moment forward, let every move be intentional. Let every word be sacred. Let every decision be a reflection of who you've become. Not who you were, not who they knew, but who you were born to be. You are not just walking in. You're taking over, not in pride, in purpose, not in ego, in excellence, not for attention, but because the world needs the real you now more than ever.